them because, you know, it's basically like somebody in New York driving to Florida. That's more of a trek than someone going from the UK to Italy. Like, that's basically what you're describing, is someone driving from, like, Virginia to fucking Florida. That would be the equivalent of someone in, you know, the northern UK, I guess Scotland, going to Italy. So I've always found that very interesting, because it's basically the same thing as us going to different states, essentially. So I've never understood why the British or, you know, the Europeans think they're so amazing, because they go from one country to the other when in reality our states are bigger than most of their countries. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, man. Neonverse animations with the 2. I ban this person from Britain. Go to there you go. He might like what he finds there. Let's just put that away. The French might have an opening for him. Funnily enough, with the 5, I can't send it, but check out the Jolly Heretic Phil. Let's see what this was.
To receive engagement, which gives the opportunity for them to have their anger validated.
Oh, and then Neonverse animations with the 10. Okay, Griffin, please don't listen to the special person. I'm British. I will say apart for medical stuff and water, UK isn't a great place. And USA isn't a great place. Democrats? I don't know, bro. Like, I still feel like the U.S. is a good place overall. There's nowhere else I would move. Like, we have the highest paying jobs in the world. We have the highest likelihood of being able to move up, like, you know, financially. There's the most opportunity still here. You can get cheap land. I don't like the U.S., like, as far as, like, individual freedoms go, we still have that. I would say it's more so than any country at this point. So I guess it just depends on what part of the country you go to when it comes to that, because that's the nice thing about the U.S. is, you know, you can live in a hellhole like New York, or you can get the hell out of there and go to like a nice state like Texas or Florida and have like way more, you know, opportunities, freedoms, financial situation. I don't know, man. It just depends. I like honestly can't think of anything in the U.S. that like another country does better, other than like crime. That's the biggest issue, but most Western European nations have that problem too. So, crime, unfortunately, is a thing pretty much everywhere you go, unless you go to a specific state.
Lead allergy confirmed. Vehicle claimed.
Creators freedom with the 2, the dock workers protest gate. Well, they got their what they wanted, so they got a 60-something% raise. So they got exactly what they asked for. So no, it's not that they gave up; they got what they wanted. So I saw there with the 5. Everyone. Stop this. Bella Ramsey turns Kelly Williams. Oh boy. Dude, that is like one of the worst casting decisions ever. Hands down.
Reciprocated and even challenged, which can create more anger and more adrenaline. Being angry, or even having your anger recognized, can also be cathartic. Even things like shouting or swearing out of anger can feel good. In fact, there's been studies that show that shouting profanities can increase a person's pain tolerance by up to 33%, since adrenaline has an analgesic effect. Simply having your anger recognized by others can be cathartic too. By being angry and seeing people react to your anger, regardless of the reaction to it, it can make you feel seen. Anger is also a response to a diminishing or absent sense of control over a situation. Control is more important to humans than we like to think. Some of us need too much of it, some of us need a smaller amount to just be comfortable, but we all need some. When we fear that we're losing control, we can respond to it by getting angry. And more commonly among men, it can be responded to with aggression, whether that's verbal or physical. I'm gonna go a bit off track here, but
Dude, it takes a lot to get me angry.
anger is something that's seen as a more acceptable response for men to have, since it has a close association with masculinity and a need to domineer over others, a trait related to toxic masculinity. Since we're so used to seeing men get angry, some might conclude that they're more prone to it than women, but that may not be the case. A study by Southwest Missouri State University found that women not only got as angry as men, but acted on it at the same frequency as they do. They identified that when men are forced to contain their anger, they feel less effective. Women, on the other hand, have better control over their impulses induced by anger. There's a couple of possible factors that explain this. One study showed that even though
Unless they're
men and women have
lesbians.
similarly sized
Unless they're lesbians, but yeah.
amygdalas, women have a much larger orbital frontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that regulates aggressive impulses. The other, and perhaps more likely reason, is that in general, society conditions women to believe that it's important to keep their anger under control, and that expressions of anger are something exclusive to men. They're taught that women need to be calm and collected at all times, and it's something necessary to retain order, whilst men are permitted to sow chaos. In online spaces where people are afforded
Nah, y'all have not seen me, like, genuinely angry. Like, I've gotten close a few times with just, like... Nah, like, when I get angry... it's not even like a verbal thing. I don't know, man. It takes a lot to genuinely make me angry. So it's not like me being pissed off in the moment type thing. For me to be genuinely angry and not just irritated is a completely different thing.
at some level of anonymity and able to cultivate an identity.
Nah, those fucking retards didn't get me angry. They just were irritating. That was mild irritation. Nah, it takes a lot to get me angry. I'm not really an angry person, generally speaking.
Identity from scratch, it's possible to express anger in a wider variety of ways compared to an in-person interaction. It could be video content, pictures, memes, comments, tweets, and so forth, but the restrictions imposed upon us by society are far looser online, which means that we're able to potentially be more aggressive, possibly to an unhealthy degree. In recent years, certain groups, especially right-wing ones,
Nah, dude, that's not literally being angry, that's literally Dark Souls.
have become accustomed to complaining about cancel culture. They claim that progressive, left-wing online mobs go out of their way to find character flaws and questionable actions of a person and bring them to light in order to ruin their reputation. It's believed that this is done because the people who are allegedly cancelled stand on the opposing end of the political spectrum, and progressives use the momentum to deplatform people that they don't like and tarnish the reputation of those they're associated with. Now, just to get this out of the way, I don't believe cancel culture is a thing, and I don't think that cancelling is really a thing. When information about a person
You don't think cancel culture is a thing? Yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about this fucking golem.
surfaces and it causes damage to their reputation, it's more often than not the case that it's due to something that matters and has legitimacy. We should be held accountable for our actions, regardless of who we are and how long ago they happened. A lot of people like to complain about cancel culture, claiming that it's a petty sport that people online want to participate in without any regard for the
Yeah,
damage.
this is literally a golem, bro. He's been completely programmed by the fucking deep state, fucking globalist mind virus. You can tell.
that it does, implying that most people who get cancelled
This is the type of guy that probably jerks off to the fact that the white population percentage of England is dropping.
didn't actually
It's
deserve
like, oh yeah, lower, get rid of all those fucking white people.
it. Some celebrities, especially ones over the age of 50, if we're being honest, even say that they live in fear of being cancelled even though they didn't do anything wrong. But personally, I can't help but think that if you're worried about being cancelled all the time, you probably did something wrong. While accountability is important,
No, you didn't do something wrong. It's the fact that people use social media pressure to force a company to fire someone or force them out from working with someone. No, they create like this fake sense of outrage to purposely try and ruin someone's life for something that may or may not even be a big deal. But if companies
like there's
perceive
no
it to be a
tomorrow.
big deal, whether they believe it so or not, then they'll just can the person.
Ready with the repair
Yeah, this
field.
guy's a fucking idiot.
1041.
Wait
Obtained.
till he gets falsely accused of rape or something and then is a victim of cancel culture for something he never even did. And then we'll see what he's fucking talking about.
and Some trends have arisen when it comes to people on the internet participating during an event where someone is being called out for their actions. It usually begins with a news article, tweet, or video that's well researched and is backed up by credible witnesses or possibly victims of the perpetrator. The story gains momentum because once again, people are drawn to controversy. It gets engagement and spreads like wildfire with thousands, possibly millions of people chiming in with their opinions. Some voice their disgust and a handful will defend them using worn-out defenses like how what they did is a talent show or that their actions are being blown out of proportion, etc. Cancelling someone or some entity has sort of become an event. People wake up in the morning to see that it's happening again, go out of their way to inform themselves, and when armed with what they feel is enough information, they'll decide whether to join in. Some even go as far as to try and hunt down more information that hasn't been discovered yet to add fuel to the fire. This fire keeps burning until an algorithm tells you that it's no longer profitable enough for people to pay attention to and directs their eyes elsewhere. As the frequency of cancelling has increased though, it seems as though some people have developed a taste for it. Whether it affects them directly or not, people want to know what happened, gauge the level of disgust from a crowd, and decide if they should meet their level of outrage or maybe even attempt to inflate it. It's kind of a blood in the water situation. People have become drawn to it because if they join in, they can be validated by others for being angry. The collective can feel powerful since they're being recognized by the world at large, with every single voice feeling important, capable of painting the public. It's the allure of power and control, but at the same time, I'm not saying that their rage isn't warranted. Power has its appeal, and in a world where many of us feel like we have little to no power, we sometimes take what we can get. As people have learned what goes into a successful cancellation, it's being used against people who may not actually deserve it as a means of expressing their dislike towards them. This is largely applicable to online figures such as YouTubers and influencers, where if they do something like express an opinion that some people don't agree with or are just ideologically opposed to a group, some will go out of their way to unearth information on them which some might find objectionable, or in some cases they might just fabricate evidence. And since the flow of information on the internet moves so quickly, few will go out of their way to verify whether it's true. We see and react.
Yeah, but cancel culture doesn't exist, right?
Because we don't want to miss out on something.
Yeah, I love how he literally tops off the fact that he says cancel culture doesn't exist with the fact that people will just make up shit about you because they don't like you and people will run with it. Congratulations, you literally just admitted it exists, bro. You literally just admitted the cancel culture 100% exists.
Power weapons
but,
incoming.
you know, go off, Queen.
Since I'm fairly open about where
Nobody tell the British police that he...
Power weapons on the field.
Don't ever inform the British police of some doctored tweets that he made. That's all I can say, right?
I stand politically and share
He
many
might get a knock if he misgenders a trans on Twitter.
my opinions about a variety of things. Understandably, I've been met with some opposition. Because of this, I've had to deal with situations in which people have cherry-picked statements to criticize or recontextualize them in order to make them seem far worse than what was intended. On a couple of occasions, I've had people who have an issue with me completely fabricate information about me, like telling people how they've looked into my history and found something that will end my career and how they'll post
Yeah, but cancel culture isn't real, right?
it on Reddit. This isn't unique to me, but I've also had long-term supporters and people who support me on Patreon withdraw their pledges because they didn't agree with something I said in a video. Creators have access to exit surveys on Patreon where donors can state the reason why they're stopping, and on multiple occasions, I've had people say, sometimes in very cruel ways, how they're pulling their support because I've said something that they didn't entirely agree with. These have been people who supported me since the beginning, told me how they admire me and my work, but all it took was one thing for them to change all that. Things that, in my and other people's opinions, aren't inflammatory, offensive, or without merit. Financial circumstances change, and not everyone can afford a monthly pledge to a content creator. Some people also just stop enjoying that content or don't have the time to watch it, and I do not begrudge them for it. For smaller creators such as myself, Patreon income is extremely important. Not only is it a place where I can earn more than YouTube revenue, but it's far more stable and reliable. Even a dollar donation is worth more than 1,000 views. It's that valuable. For people to use it as a means to ensure that the content you create caters to their tastes and opinions.
Please give me money on Patreon. I'm a starving content creator. Yeah, get a job, bum.
And to threaten your livelihood if you step out of line is friendly.
Hold on, let's see. I'm just curious.
No more hiding. They're under us.
Bro, this dude has the audacity to ask for Patreon money when he uploads once a month? Maybe once every 2 months? Maybe make more content if you need more money.
It's appalling. If I'm being more frank, holding someone's income hostage is also a form of financial abuse. So, if you're one of the people who use that method on me or any other creator, you should know that when you're being explicit about this behavior, you're causing psychological harm to a...
If you guys don't give me super chats, you're causing me psychological harm. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. What a fucking clown, bro. What an absolute fucking clown. Yeah, this guy definitely drops it down fucking low at the gay bars, man. This is some homo ass shit, man. What in the fuck?
a human being. On one occasion, and I won't mention it by name because I don't want to revisit it due to the trauma it caused. I mean legitimate trauma.
Trauma.
All flee in abject
Jesus Christ.
I had conversations with Jordan, but some who have been there since I began my page. Because
He has trauma for people removing his Patreon. Holy shit. What a fucking idiot, man.
their relationship with content creators. It turned out that their parasocial connection with some creators was strong enough that what I said angered them, and I lost a not insignificant amount of my monthly income, which I need to live on and pay for production costs at the same time. For a creator,
No, you don't have production. Shut the fuck. Bro, you're sitting in front of a fucking. No! You don't have production. I hate when YouTubers say this shit, man. They are lying through their teeth. Oh my god, I need the money every month to make content. No, you own your camera. You have a microphone. Sit down and fucking talk, bitch. You don't have production costs. What is he talking? You have to buy a new t-shirt? What? Oh my god, bro. This is wild.
creator with thousands of patrons. That can be an acceptable loss, but for someone like me and other creators like me, who's currently surviving on below poverty wages from YouTube revenue and pledges, while being unable
Then go get a job, you bum ass. Holy shit. Quit being a leech on other people and go get a job. Just because you have 100K subs doesn't mean that this is your full-time gig. What a fucking joke, man.
to work in a regular job, but at the same time, due to PTSD, it was devastating to me.
He can't work a regular job because of PTSD. Oh my god. Yeah, this is the new age male that's gonna lecture everybody else about how everybody's being just a negative Nancy. What a fucking loser, man. Dear God.
Overall, I lost of my monthly income on Patreon, all because people got mad at me and decided that it was important to punish me and consider clear this wasn't just patrons.
They should punish you.
Also, comments, tweets, DMs, Discord messages, etc. It was from everywhere. I don't know if any of these patrons or commenters still watch my content or maybe even hate watch it, but if you do, and I hope you know who you are, I've wanted to say this for a while now. I'm not angry at you, and I try my best to understand.
This is not satire. What a fucking idiot, man.
Apocalypse.
Dear God. This is why you don't make YouTube your job. What a fucking clown, bro.
What you did, and what some of you said, has left some psychological scars. Probably never go away.
Good.
You also hurt my wife, a bystander who didn't understand why people were so angry because she wasn't involved in this sphere. That morning, I woke up to find her crying as she read your hurtful comments. Something I'll never forget and something I'll...
What in the fuck, man?
always regret because I felt like I brought it upon her. Because of your anger, you...
She had to read mean comments. Dear Lord.
made me feel like I was broken. I felt bad because I couldn't be what you wanted me to be 100% of the time. And ever since then, I've truly never felt confident in my work because I fear that my career could fall apart because people like you are able to exert your power over creators in such cruel ways.
This dude lost 1/5 of his revenue on Patreon, and he's acting like these people tied him up in a fucking basement and tortured him for months. You know, he's like one of the fucking Palestine hostages or some shit who was like tortured and raped every day and sodomized and barely, you know, given food and dirty water. No, dude, 20% of his Patreons unsubscribed. And this is the psychological damage that he's still dealing with to this day. What a fucking joke, man. These new age men are just complete jokes.
I also know that there's a chance that you may feel just in your actions, regardless of what I say, and I'm not going to shame you for that, but I will ask you to contemplate why you feel just, and consider why that might be problematic. I wish you the best in life, but you should know that your actions and words caused serious harm that contributed to the deterioration of my mental health and led me to revisiting the lowest point for the second time in my life, a low that was so potent, I didn't want to exist anymore.
Well, what changed your mind?
has its costs, but it also has its uses too. That much is obvious, since it's something that's been passed down through human evolution for millennia. It's something that can help us survive, and when utilized properly, it can help us achieve some form of justice. Justice is an abstract concept, though, one that I personally don't believe truly exists, since there's no solid consensus on what justice actually is. Anger is such a gut reaction that it can be difficult for us to not act upon it, and take a moment to verify the
If that happened to me, you'd say this, I don't have a Patreon.
information being presented. It doesn't help that many of us look for reasons to be angry, and in some ways, I can't blame them. The world's a bit of a mess, the economy's rigged against average people, many of us will never retire, the planet's on fire, and every single day we learn about how something else is going wrong. It's an endless show, and it helps when we have something concrete to direct our anger.
So this guy uploads one video every 2 months, complains that 20% of his Patreons unsub, and then is bitching about the fact that he lives on below minimum wage from his amazing YouTube career because he refuses to get a real job. Yeah, fuck off, bro. No